rare and balanced view on politics in today's world. Based on facts, born of rationality, common sense, and logic, providing context on today's events, this is American Perspective with Rick Thomas.
Hello, everyone, and wow. Welcome to American Perspective with Rick. That's right. I am your host. Oh, my goodness. That was a bad voice crack. Whew. It's almost like I was going through puberty all over again. Yeah. Anyway, you know, as I was gathering the news for today's show, I pretty much was asking myself, can we just skip the stupid? I mean, can we just completely skip the stupid? I want to get to the other side where people realize that they are stupid and that it gets fixed. That the realization, the actual truth comes in. Yeah. All right. Coming to you live from the Pacific Northwest, where we are covered in smoke. Thank you, Ms. T. Yeah, my voice is cracking because it's the smoke. Yeah, for those that don't know, as far as I'm aware, the Spokane fire is still going and burning quite well. We may have some Canadian fires that are going on. I don't know. I haven't checked the fire map lately, but we got some residual smoke running around. It's very, very interesting to see when the wildfire season comes up, because the air changes the sunlight. You know, the smoke particulates in the air will actually turn the sun orange. And I'm not talking about just the brilliant, beautiful colors in both the morning and the evening when the sun's coming up and the sun's going down. I'm talking about during the entire day, it will be an orangish glow. And it's that time of the year, folks. It's still not as bad as a few years ago when we were in a serious smoke where the sunlight was actually filtered out by the smoke. It's not quite that bad yet. But it's early. This is August, the driest time of the year for us up here. So, we'll have to see what happens. Anyway, let's move on to tonight's Pledge of Allegiance. And it is by none other than My News. My News is up for tonight's Pledge of Allegiance. She is over in the green room right now, hopefully warming up her voice better than I did. Anyway, so if you are of mine, please stand or remove your hat if you're wearing one, like me. Place your hand over your heart and follow along with My News as she recites the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic of which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, and I thank you, My News, for that wonderful rendition of the Pledge. If you would like to hear your rendition of the Pledge played here on the program, all you need to do is record yourself reciting or performing the Pledge in your style. Take that audio file, video file, whatever kind of file, and attach it to an email. Send that email off to me. Send it to fans, FANS, at AmericanPerspective.online. That's fans at AmericanPerspective.online, and I will get you into the rotation. I have 25 of my requested 26. So if you haven't done yours, I got one more slot that I want to fill before the end of 2026. So all you have to do is record yourself and send it off to me. If you record yourself using your phone, you can utilize the share option. That is the SHARE option. and you'll be able to send that off to fans at AmericanPerspective.online. And I will put you into the rotation. So there you go. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, the funny triangle thingy. I don't know what he's doing. Yes, I know my face is partially covered by the mic. I'm doing that for a purpose. There's a lot of noise here in the studio, so I've got the gain on the mic turned down and to make it so that you can just hear my voice. And so for that, I have to eat the mic. That's nothing unusual in radio. And, well, not so much in television, because in television they usually want, quiet on the set. Anyway, that's movies. Never mind. All right, let's move on to our headline sponsor, which tonight is it kind of helps if I actually get this set up ahead of time. There we go. The American View. That's right. The American View is the company. Their site, their website is theamericanview.com. That's theamericanview.com, formerly known as the Institute on the Constitution. You need to understand that the American View the Institute on the Constitution was taken over by another entity, and name changed, content didn't. So head on over to theamericanview.com. And remember that The American View is an independent educational organization dedicated to the objective, textual, and historical study of the foundational documents of the United States. Utilizing a rigorous primary source methodology, our mission is to examine the original context, personal correspondence, legal frameworks, and Judeo-Christian philosophical traditions that guided the framers during the creation of the U.S. Constitution and the Bill of Rights. By analyzing the specific scriptural citations, historical sermons, and biblical principles explicitly referenced in the early American political discourse, we provide researchers, educators, and citizens with a factual, unpoliticized baseline for understanding how theology and history intersected to shape the structural heritage of American liberty. That's what they do. Now, how do you gain from this? Well, it's pretty simple. Your first thing is to go and become a defender of truth, liberty, and God-given rights. Take their U.S. Constitution course. It's on sale right now for $76. That's right, $76. And, you can go and get the U.S. Constitution course today. And if you want to know what you're getting, well, they offer you an opportunity to grab Lesson 1 for free. Learn from the founders. Enter your first name, last name, and email here on this page, and then click Get Lesson 1 free, and it'll be delivered directly to your email inbox. Learn at your own pace, nationally recognized 100% online course. And that study guide, by the way, you can pick up by heading on over to their shop. That's right. There, along with all kinds of other interesting information, you can also pick up other instructor materials. I forgot to tell you, once you do go through their courses and stuff, you should become a donator or sponsor, become a member, become an instructor. That's your big one right there. Leave a legacy. Restore the constitutional republic and prepare the future by hosting a course in your community. That's right. Become a leader, man. Becoming an instructor is easy. Takes 3 simple steps. Here's a video to describe how. The one on the left. And then you can check out the 5 tips for a successful class. They're not going to leave you hanging. And there's the instructor kit right there. Go and pick up yours before you become an instructor. Pick up your instructor kit so you're prepared. You can pick that up also in the shop. They're where they have all their other educational resources, self-evident apparel, all their instructor materials, the U.S. Constitution course I just showed you, and my personal favorite right here above my head, the Legacy Library. Yes, the Legacy Library is filled with all kinds of leather items. I love my leather. Yeah, you can pick up the Leather Declaration of Independence, the Leather Bill of Rights, the Leather Magna Carta, the Leather U.S. Constitution wall hanging. Man, if I had those 7 items hanging in my studio here, that would be awesome. But I know not everybody can go and grab all of those right away, so I highly suggest you get this fantastic pocket-sized leather U.S. Constitution there. That's right. My Whiskey Warrior P1s are very familiar with this book. Free Chevy says it's an all-rounded cornered, can't forget it's sexy rounded corners. Rounded corner book contains actual Roman numerals that come with a 100-year numerical order guarantee, because that's just the way we roll. Not to mention the fact that G, who is on the couch, not Three Chevy's couch, but on his couch, says, stitching defined. See the American View Pocket Constitution. I don't know why he called it the Webster Dictionary, but all right. Oh, that's in the Webster Dictionary. Stitching is defined as the American View Pocket Constitution. There we go. All right, let's take a look at this wonderful book, an 1/8 of an inch of Saddleback leather wrapped around pages that are water and tear resistant. No cheap glue here. There's that stitching that is defined in Webster's Dictionary, according to G. It's got a 100-year warranty against materials and manufacturing defects, such that if you have a problem, you can send it back to the manufacturer, and they will either fix it or replace it for free. It is buddy tested, buddy approved. Billy tasted. That's right, Billy from the Outlaw Dogs. You know, she's got a show on Rumble, too. You should go and check out. It's every day. Anyway, Billy tasted it. And by the way, it's Billy's 8th birthday today. Yeah, Billy tasted. And my youngest Whiskey Warrior has confirmed that the information contained within will get you, or will help you to achieve your civics badge in scouting, as well as your civics exam. Not to mention your naturalization test. You get a 3 for 1 right out of this book. Pocket-sized book. Travels really well, too. It's great as a heirloom. You can hand it down to generation and generation. That's how we roll. Anyway, head on over to theamericanview.com. Go to their shop, go to their Legacy Library, and pick up your leather-bound, Saddleback leather-bound U.S. Constitution today. Also, don't forget to check out the rest of the Institute on the Constitution's offerings. And I thank them for being a sponsor of this program. All righty. Yes, happy birthday, Billy, at 8 years old. You know, my wife and I, side note, here we go. We're getting off the track. My wife and I argue. We've got some elderly animals in our house. First one is our horse. We've got one horse that's still hanging on. He's above the age of 30. And for those of you who are not familiar with the equine species, 30 is actually pretty old. Anyway, he's still hanging on. And then we have our puppy, Angus, who is sitting at 12 years old, I believe. And then Badger, our barn cat, he is, we're guessing, somewhere around the age of 15. Yeah, he's wandering around here. We swear he's starting to go senile, though, because some days he forgets that he was just inside to eat, and so he'll go out on the porch, sit for a couple of minutes, and then want to come back in to go and eat again. It's kind of sad to watch, considering we, had seen the big one, seen when he was in much better shape. But anyway, so those are all of our oldies. And then, of course, the younger ones, honestly, I do have one more horse. He's he's 19 right now. He's 1 year younger than my daughter. But he's 19 right now. And then, of course, we have our little cat Cleo, which is around 5 or 6 or 7, somewhere in there. Anyway, but we always argue about Angus's age because we can never remember what his age is. And I think she finally got tired of arguing, and now she's got it in her calendar app on her phone to know exactly when he goes. Yeah. So, when his birthday is and how old he is. Anyway, all right, let's get off the rail tracks. Well, we're already off the tracks. Let's get back on the tracks. Apparently Todd Blanche gave the appropriate answers to Tom Tillis and, what was the other guy? Anyway, I can't remember the other guy. The two, John Cornyn. Tom Tillis and John Cornyn, finally gave them the right answer to the whole weaponization thing, which I don't even understand. It's again, this is part of the stupid thing. You guys in Congress have an actual slush fund for sexual, among other, misconduct and protections against your employees suing you. You have a slush fund funded by the taxpayers for you, and yeah. It's just, I don't know. I don't get it. Why can't the American people have one when their government steps out of it? Anyway, all right. But that being said, apparently they're happy now with whatever he said, and he is now being advanced to the Senate floor vote. Yeah. He formally rescinded parts of the settlement his department made with Trump, satisfying the senator's concerns, and so he has moved out of committee and is now going to the full Senate. The Senate panel voted 12-10 along party lines, no surprise there, to advance him, and it goes to a final confirmation vote where, honestly, only 2 Republican votes can be lost and still have him pass. That's assuming, of course, that all the Democrats are going to be opposed to him and that Senator Mitch McConnell, who's still reportedly in the hospital, assuming that he is going to be absent as well. So anyway, we're going to find out what the heck is going on. But anyway, Blanche may need to satisfy some other potential holdouts. People like Lisa Murkowski, who told reporters on July 30th that she shared Tillis's and Cornyn's concerns. Mm-hmm. So, there you go. Anyway. Well, I hope he gets in. I really do. He would be. He's definitely much better than the other guy was. And by the other guy, I'm not talking about Pam Bondi. I'm talking about Garland, Merrick Garland. Anyway, we'll see. Let's see. When is that? I don't think they have it. I don't think they have it scheduled yet for his actual floor vote. So anyway, so there you go. All right. Senator Grassley, who is, again, one of the older folks in Congress, but he actually does his work. He actually does, what he does and does it quite well. Anyway, he has invited former special counsel Jack Smith to appear before the Senate Judiciary Committee over his handling of Operation Arctic Frost. Grassley announced this yesterday on X, that he had invited Smith to testify before the committee on September 22nd, saying that Americans deserve answers about what Republicans have characterized as the weaponization of the justice system, specifically against Donald Trump. Grassley wrote on X, "I'm inviting Jack Smith to testify before the Senate Judiciary Committee on September 22nd. American people deserve nothing less than full transparency and accountability for Arctic frost and special counsel lawfare." Now, according to Politico, Smith has accepted the invitation pending approval from the Justice Department. His attorneys, Lanny Brewer and Peter Koski, said in a letter that Smith steadfastly followed Justice Department policies, observed applicable legal requirements, and took actions based on the facts and the law while serving as special counsel. Sure. Anyway, the attorneys also added that Smith looks forward to appearing publicly before the committee to correct the many mischaracterizations surrounding his tenure. You mean the mischaracterizations like he's not even legal, that he used broad-reaching warrant powers to pick up communications, that, yeah, anyway. All right. Whatever. All right. He's been leading the Senate, and Grassley has been leading the Senate investigation into Smith's Operation Arctic Frost Probe, which examined efforts to overturn the 2020 presidential election. There was no effort to overturn the 2020 presidential election. That's just bull crap. It's all made up. Anyway, Republicans have sharply criticized the investigation after learning that Smith's team secretly obtained phone records and text messages from lawmakers and other Republican figures. So, yeah. Anyway. Okay. Yeah. Oh, we'll see what happens. So that's coming up on September 22nd. All right. Well, let's move on. And this is interestingly the beginning of let's just move past the stupid. So one of the things that is incredibly stupid is the left sitting here talking about, oh yeah, non-citizens don't vote. I mean, I've talked about it extensively on this program. I've explained through the use of an analogy and understanding of how our system works. We have a fence, we have a gate, but it is all basically on the honor system, meaning that all you have to do in order to gain access inside the fence, meaning getting registered to vote, is just check a checkbox when you apply for an identification at any one of the DMVs across. Now, all of that is thanks to the 1993 National Registration Voting Act, which is also known as the Motor Voter Act. Passed, by the way, under Democrat Congress and Democrat President Bill Clinton. Now, all of that being the case, the left keeps saying, oh, no, non-citizens don't vote because they're going to get in trouble. Really? You mean to tell me that a non-citizen who receives a ballot won't question, is going to be completely 100% honest and question whether or not they can vote? Well, I mean, we'll have to admit that, and it's proper to admit that, I'm sure there's a majority of them that do, but there's that percentage that doesn't. That's just been shown to be proven by New Jersey. New Jersey opened up its voter rolls for just one singular year and said, hey, we had 6,600 non-citizens on our voter rolls, even though many of them said, I'm not a citizen on their application. They still ended up there. And of course, New Jersey blamed it upon some sort of a software glitch. The software company goes, no, you ain't going to throw us under the bus, and said the truth. Well, out of that 6,600 people, reportedly 400 voted. Now, here's the problem. The leftists and the Democrats, because right now they're not necessarily one and the same, although they're pretty close. But the leftists and the Democrats, they keep saying, oh, yeah, non-citizen voting, yeah, it's not happening. It's not happening at all. It's not happening because why would somebody risk 5 years in prison or whatever the damn punishment is? You know, it kind of changes every day. Why would anybody risk that? Why would anybody risk crossing the border illegally? Just saying. Anyway, Politico, which is, by the way, the leftist paper. You want to know what leftists are thinking? All you need to do is read the Political Playbook. They will tell you exactly what they're thinking. The Political Playbook comes out every day, morning and afternoon, and you'll be able to know exactly what the hive mind of the Borg leftism is thinking, because it seems like that's probably where they get all of their marching orders. Everybody reads the Political Playbook and they know, okay, today we're going to be against illegals. Or no, today we're going to be against illegal immigration enforcement. That's what it is. Yeah. Tomorrow we're going to start talking about, health care, universal health care. Yeah. Anyway, Politico has finally admitted, because they've originally put out, yeah, non-citizen voting was overblown. Oh, yeah, you heard that argument too. Oh, yeah, you guys are just talking about something that only happens very rarely. Well, now it apparently admits the entire system runs on, the honor system. Oh. This in the Federalist. Politico has spent months telling Americans that Republicans' concerns about non-citizens in our elections were exaggerated. However, now that New Jersey has admitted what they admitted, I just covered that, Politico has discovered the problem was apparently an open secret all along. Oh, yeah, it's an open secret. Yeah. So now that the reality of non-citizens both registering to vote and voting is too difficult for the corporate media to ignore, they have to cover it. And Politico's Matt Friedman reports that the announcement exposed an open secret about New Jersey's so-called motor voter law that officials and political operatives have known for years. There's little to stop non-citizens from registering to vote if they want to, or even by mistake. That's a quote, by the way. Yeah. In fact, and this is another quote from Friedman, elections officials and campaign consultants from both parties believe that the number of non-citizens being added to the voter rolls is, oh my gosh, significantly higher than the 6,600 meaning Mickey Sherrill, the governor of New Jersey, cited. Because the state has been automatically registering drivers since 2018, and her figure only covers from June 2023 to June 2024, Friedman writes. One elections official told Friedman it's the honor system. Oh, my God. Like I said, can we just skip the stupid? I mean, how stupid can you be? You go in to get your driver's license. You are asked at the very end, at least here in Washington State, hey, do you want to get registered to vote? If so, check the box below where it says, I certify under penalty of perjury that I am a U.S. citizen and that I am eligible to vote. You check that little box, your name and address is sent off to the state registration or whatever, and boom, you are registered to vote. It's that simple. There's no document validation. There's no U.S. citizenship validation, at least here in the state of Washington. Oh, it's all on the honor system. And if you go in and you're not a native English speaker, you could look at this and go, well, I don't know what this thing says, but it's a checkbox, so I'm going to go ahead and hit the checkbox. What? Yeah. 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 Says New Jersey system, like the rest of the federal voter registration system, can use a social security number or driver's license identification number to confirm a prospective voter's identity, but neither guarantees citizenship, since non-citizens can get both of these documents. Why do you think I've spent a lot of time on this program talking about the only accepted identification for voting in federal elections should be something that validates citizenship, meaning a real ID from states that actually use real ID appropriately, or a passport. And my personal preference, not real ID, but it should be a passport, period. That's it. And honestly, I think with all the millions and trillions that this government has been spending, sending money overseas and spending money on welfare and health care and all this other crap that we're not constitutionally mandated to do, they could back some of that off or eliminate it appropriately, and then change some of that money and put it over toward, hey, when you're 18 and you register for selective service or whatever, when you turn 18, you automatically get your passport, because 18 is the age at which you can vote. Oh, that's right. And that's an amendment, which, apparently, according to the leftists, Congress can't do anything about that. The Constitution can't do anything about voting. It's all in the state's hands. Yet we have examples like the 1993 Voter Registration Act, and this whole thing about the date, like why we ended up on November as our election day, and the age of 18 is when you can vote. Gee, I wonder all of that. Anyway, all right. Yeah. So, and that's exactly it, is that the system, as with all federal voter registration systems, merely asks the applicants to tell the truth about their citizenship status. And if the system registering does not require proof of citizenship in order to register a new voter, then it depends on the prospective voter being honest. But this vulnerability is neither new nor secret. That's the exact reason why we have the SAVE Act. Exactly why we have the Save America Act. It's to amend the National Voter Registration Act to require documentary proof of citizenship. So, yeah. But Democrats are refusing, and some Republicans are refusing to support this act. So, anyway. Friedman, of course, writes also to try and cover for the Democrats. He says, Democrats and Republicans agree the registration system is a mess. Yep. Anyway. So there you go. All right. Let's shift gears here. We're going to talk a little bit about sports. I don't necessarily do this very often. I really try and shy away from sports because sports has become political. That's right. They have. And I use sports and entertainment as an escape from the political, from the realities of life. I like to step away from the realities of life and immerse myself at times where I can just shut my brain off, enjoy a good movie. I don't want to know that the actors like or dislike Trump. I don't really care. I don't want the actors to sit there and try to dictate to me, and actually even sports authority figures, to sit there and dictate to me that I must believe in the whole LGBTQ plus minus divided by sign trans, put men in women's sports and everything's fair. I don't need any of that. I don't need them to dictate to me anything about Black Lives Matter or anything else in terms of politics. You're being paid to jump around, say lines, dance, and entertain me. I don't want to know what's running around in your head outside of that, okay? If you're a sports person, I am watching you because of your athletic ability. I don't want to hear from some purple-haired nut on the women's soccer field that women need to be paid more than the men because they've gone to the Women's World Cup, which gets nothing in terms of the size of attention that the Men's World Cup does. I don't need that in my life. I don't need to see a mediocre quarterback kneel down for the national anthem because he actually should be pretty effing happy that he is playing a sport for his job and getting millions by doing it. I don't need any of that. And this, like I watch the WNBA. I don't watch the WNBA. But occasionally these stories percolate up through the ranks and they get to a point where, well, I need to comment on them. So I don't know if anybody's been watching lately, but Sophie Cunningham, I believe, from the Indiana Fever, has been making all kinds of waves because she believes that men should not play in women's sports. Oh, like I said, let's skip the stupid and get to the reality here. Well, apparently this has caused waves. You know, common sense tends to do that in America today because so many people don't seem to have common sense. But this has apparently made a lot of waves with a lot of her fellow athletes as well as the coaches. And apparently multiple WNBA coaches are refusing the obvious, which is essentially that women's sports are there for a reason. You're trying to protect the women and have them play at an equal level with other competitors of the sport. And apparently one WNBA coach, I heard she was being interviewed, and she pulls the Ketanji Brown Jackson thing. She's like, well, I'm not a medical professional, so I can't really talk about whether or not men and women's sport. Hello, dumbasses. I'm just going to put this out there. You know that a lower, I mean, it's been shown so many different times. How many times do we have to do this? Let's see. The women's national soccer team, okay, the champions, the ones who have won the World Cup like 4 times back-to-back in women's soccer, okay, played a U14 or a U15, I think it's U15, U15 team from Dallas, Texas, and lost 7-0. These are high schoolers. I mean, we're not even talking like seniors yet. We're talking about 14-year-olds. And they lost 7-0. There's, Venus Williams was like, hey, let's settle this. Now, I don't know if she said this or not, but there was this thought process that Venus, she was the highest ranked tennis player in the world in women's tennis. She played the 200th, okay, ranked male player and lost 2 straight sets. Decidedly. I want to skip past the stupid. And maybe this will be the incentive. Because apparently Clay Travis, I don't really know who Clay Travis is. I think he's like I don't know. I think he's some sort of a sports guy or whatever. But anyway, Clay Travis, he goes, you know what? Let's just settle this right now. All of you WNBA folks, which, by the way, just to be clear, the WNBA is subsidized to the tune of something like $40 million every year by the NBA, the male players. I mean, you could have Shaq, who's like, I don't know, 55, 60. He could play in the WNBA and wipe the floor with any of these women. That's not saying that these women are not great. Ah, okay. He's a conservative talk radio host, apparently. I don't ever listen to him. But anyway, he is offered up to $10 million for the championship team. WNBA championship, Las Vegas Aces, to go and play a standard high school boys basketball team. I mean, let's just do this. I'm at the point now where it's like, you know what? Screw it. Let them, especially in these professional teams. I mean, Caitlin Clark, as good as she is, okay, as good as she is, would probably get schooled by a high school team. You don't even have to go to college, to the college level. But even at the college level, they'd get schooled. I mean, seriously, people, let's just skip the stupid, okay? Let's just skip the stupid and let's just go to the reality, which is that regardless of how many times you want to say it, men are bigger, men are faster, men are stronger. In the vast majority, not everybody. But when you're talking about like professional sports teams or even college level sports teams or even high school level sports teams, yeah. There's no brainer here. This is not like the questionable science that Dr. Fauci did with the whole, well, we're just going to make up the 6-foot distancing rule and that masks work. And this thing created where it came and naturally migrated from a pangolin bat in some wet market over to humans. No, we're not playing that stupid game. This is proven. This is proven science here, people, okay? Anyway. I hope they take him up. I really do. I hope they take him up on this $10 million thing. So, yeah. Apparently Clay Travis, which, by the way, the article here in Fox News says the WNBA, which continues to struggle to turn a profit, has received a very generous offer to live up to the league's stated political views and ideology. When Indiana Fever guard Sophie Cunningham publicly stated she believed women's sports should be for women and not for biological males, it set off a firestorm of hatred, anger, and public rebukes from much of the league. Several coaches spoke out against her, while her own coach pretended as though she didn't understand the biological differences between males and females. Anyway, Travis, who has made such offers in the past, because he's the Outkick founder, Clay Travis, he has a compelling offer for the league's best team. Live up to what you believe in. Clay Travis posted on X, important announcement. I am upping my offer, $10 million for a head-to-head basketball game between defending WNBA champion Las Vegas Aces and a boys high school state title team of my choice. If the Aces beat my team, I will give them $10 million. There you go. $10 million, by the way, represents nearly a third of the Aces' estimated total annual revenue of $33 million. Okay. Again, I'm just going to go back to this point, folks. Both the WNBA and the women's soccer team. Now, the women's soccer team was successful. Successful so much in terms of being able to be, quote unquote, on par that the men's national team had to pay half of what they got from the World Cup, just this past World Cup. Okay. And, yeah, I'm sorry, but there's no reason why the women's national team had any claim to that money. But because of their negotiated contract with U.S. Soccer, the men's soccer team now has to pay 50% of their profits that they earned, rightfully, And the women's national team was nowhere to be found during the World Cup. Just saying. Anyway, yeah, and the Women's National Basketball Association gets subsidized by the NBA to play. Yeah, okay. So anyway, I'm just saying, hey, you know what? You know what? Put the proof in the pudding. You guys, meaning the women that are out there who are saying, and let's just say, all of the lefties that are out there who are talking about biological males in women's sports is perfectly natural and normal. Put your money where your mouth is. Put your number one best women's team up against the middle of the road, I don't care, middle of the road professional team, or even the losing professional team, or do as Clay Buck says, just put them up against a college team, and go from there, and just put, let's just do it. Anyway, all right. So done with these people. Oh, here's another obvious one. Again, I'm done with the stupid. Okay. I'm done with the stupid. Let's move on. Here is another one. Here's another thing that is obvious. A federal judge, because all these states are sitting here talking about, ICE agents can't wear masks. In fact, federal enforcement officers can't wear masks. Well, there's this thing called the Constitution. That Constitution states that the Supremacy Clause reigns supreme. So therefore, if a federal law conflicts with state law, the federal law trumps the state law. And no, I'm not being facetious when I say Trump, or I'm not being, tongue-in-cheek about that. That is the truth. Okay, that is the truth. Now, a judge on Monday granted an injunction, a temporary injunction, against a law in New York on the constitutional grounds that, states can't place rules on federal agencies. Again, let's just skip past the stupid. Let's get to reality. No duh. All right? I mean, this is not, it's not only, California that did it, but also here in New York. Yeah, let's just skip past the stupid. Let's get there. And, let's just get there. Okay? I'm tired of the stupid. I want to be done. By the way, this person happens to be an Obama appointed judge, which really doesn't really matter in my opinion, but they are correct. And they wrote in the opinion saying New York cannot impose its own uniform requirements on federal agents simply because it disagrees with how the federal government is exercising its authority. Because the Face Covering and Identification Act takes direct aim at regulating the federal agents in their function of enforcing federal law, the court finds these provisions likely run afoul of the intergovernmental immunity doctrine. Yeah. Yep. The Department of Justice wrote in a statement, laws banning federal agents from wearing protective masks are unconstitutional. That's the truth. They are totally unconstitutional. All right. Okay, so let's shift from New York State to New York City, because here's another. Let's get rid of the stupid. Let's just skip the stupid, okay? So Ma'am Danny was talking about his socialistic grocery stores. Now, keep in mind, let's just talk about this really quick. In order for a government-run grocery store to offer the prices that he was offering, which he claimed were going to be 30% lower than retail costs, because of the fact that people are dumb and don't understand what that actually means. Look, if a banana cost you 5 cents and you sell it for 1 penny, what happens? You lose 4 cents. Not that difficult. Well, where does that 4-cent differential get made up? In a government-run grocery store, that differential is made up by the taxpayers. Okay, let's skip past the stupid. All right, let's skip past the stupid. Well, Mandani's socialist grocery stores, he announced that, hey, you know what? Because he was being asked, rightfully so, by press, okay? He was asked by a presser guy, a press person, a journalist. He says, how are you going to know that the people that are using the grocery stores aren't just going in to the grocery store, buying up all of the bananas at 1 penny and then selling them essentially on the quote-unquote black market for the 5 cents and keeping the 4 cents themselves? Ma'am Danny's answer? Oh, well, we're going to have IDs. We're going to make IDs. We're going to make it so that you have to have a New York ID in order to get in the store. Wait a minute. Huh. So in other words, you're going to have a bouncer and an ID check for everybody that comes in the store, kind of like, you know, the SAVE Act is supposed to do for people voting. Or that ID is shown on everything from buying cigarettes, buying alcohol, buying non-prescription over-the-counter medicines for colds, gaining access to all kinds of government program. Okay. Anyway, well, after he was proven to be, hey, you know what? You just made the Republicans' argument on the SAVE Act, along with everything else. I mean, not that we're, not beating a dead horse here on all of this. But Mandani goes, you know what? No, we're not going to do any IDs anywhere. Illegals are even welcome to shop there. Oh, so once again, a government program which would be designed for the American people, meaning the citizens of New York in this particular case, is going to allow the illegals to just come in and buy at a extremely discounted price on the taxpayer's dime. Okay, makes sense. I mean, this guy's a socialist, so yeah, that entirely covers and oh, God, let's just skip past the stupid. Speaking of skipping past the stupid, Zoran Mandani actually has another program that is completely stupid. This particular program has to deal with a universal child care plan. Okay? Now, this universal child care plan, which again, he's sitting here talking about, oh yeah, government's going to provide child care. It's going to be universal. Cost-effective way to fund what's called nannies for all. Well, there's only one problem. That Nannies for All universal child care plan, according to a new study, is going to cost 50% more than what Ma'am Danny says it's going to. The proposed program is estimated to cost a whopping $9 billion, with an approximate average cost per child of roughly around $27,000. According to the report from the Center for New York City Affairs, which is a nonpartisan research organization affiliated with a company called the New School. Okay. Yeah. It would be an estimated 8.7 to 9.3 billion would be needed annually to fund universal child care in New York City. I hate it. I hate it when the actual laws of economics come into play. Yeah. Anyway. Oh, and by the way, just so anybody knows, those free buses that Mayor Mamdani's campaign pledge that he made, saying that he was going to make them free for everybody. Yeah, guess what? It still costs $3 to ride those buses. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, God. Anyway, let's just skip the stupid. And I'm kind of saying this because tonight we actually have a bunch of stupids. Tonight is a lot of primaries are going on in a couple of places, like I believe it's Michigan, if I remember right. Zayed Abdul El Zayed, or Zayed, however it's pronounced. Anyway, he is favored to win the nomination in, I believe it's Michigan, for the Senate seat for the Democratic side. For the Democrat side. Yeah, let's just skip the stupid, okay? Yeah, let's just skip the stupid. Speaking of stupid, none other than California's Governor Gavin Newsom. Hair gel himself. We could probably squeeze his hair and solve the oil problem for the entire world for the next 50 years, Anyway, hair gel himself. You recall the Californians want to put on a wealth tax. In fact, it's inspired a lot of the wealth out of California to move. I mean, we're talking the billionaires that they were hoping to bilk are moving. They're getting out. No surprise. What happens when you threaten somebody's livelihood or valuables? They end up wanting to go someplace else, right? Okay, well, Newsom came out against this now, and he's saying, you know what? We don't need a California-only wealth tax. What we really need is a national wealth tax. Except there's only one problem. There's some constitutional limits that are in place. Yeah. See, apparently the vote for it, okay, the vote for it, according to the San Francisco Standard, they reported that the initial vote barely failed to clear the 60% bar required for ratification. It earned 59.2 support. Then there was another vote that cleared the threshold, scoring at 61.7% support. Except there's only one problem. Gavin Newsom has already, which by the way, he's term limited for being the governor, so he doesn't care. But he knows that he's got to run for president, or he wants to run for president. So he's trying to favor or trying to pander to his leftist base that he's looking for. And so what he does is he says, well, I'm going to vote against that. Now, all of that being said, there's a bit of a problem. See, a national vote has some constitutional hurdles that would be a challenge for it. For an example, in Article 1, Section 9, Clause 4, it says no capitation or other direct tax shall be laid unless in proportion to the census or enumeration herein before directed to be taken. So basically what that means is that every tax must be apportioned to each state in proportion to its population, meaning that every tax. And then, of course, we have one of my personal favorites, Article 1, Section 8, Clause 1, that says that Congress shall have the power to lay and collect taxes, duties, imports, or imposts and excises to pay for the debts and provide for the common defense and general welfare of the United States. But all the duties, imposts, and excises shall be uniform throughout the United States. Okay? Now, to get around that particular clause, the 16th Amendment was put into play, and it said the Congress shall have the power to lay and collect taxes on what? Incomes only, from whatever source derived without apportionment among the several states, and without regard to any census or enumeration. So that's a tax on income. That's not a tax on wealth. And so this whole idea that we need a national wealth tax, yeah, that's going to run across some constitutional issues. I'm just going to say that. It's going to run across some constitutional issues. All right, folks. I'm just done with this. Can we just skip past the stupid, please? Speaking of skipping past the stupid, skip past the stupid and head on over to rumble.com. Sign up for an account. It is free. Once you are signed up and signed in, make sure that you search up the American Perspective channel, where we always skip past the stupid and get to the reality. And make sure that once you find my channel, you hit that green follow button to get notified every time that I go live. Also, too, don't forget my new streaming platform, pilled.net. That's PILLED.net, N-E-T. Go and check it out. Maybe sign up. If you are heading out, really quickly, don't forget to hit those thumbs up or thumbs down, or in the case of 3 Chevy, a thumb sideways or one at an angle across all my platforms, whether it's X, YouTube, Facebook, pilled.net, or, of course, the aforementioned Rumble. We will see you tomorrow night for Whiskey Wednesday, and hopefully a Pet of the Week, right here on American Perspective at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Have a great rest of your evening, and good night, everybody.